Okay, hi everybody. We are going to cover this new Australian citizenship pathway. We've been getting a lot of inquiries about it, and for good reason. It is an amazing change. I would call it a seismic shift. It is a massive change, and one of the best things that has happened in Australian citizenship in years. There are a few negative points to it too. That things I don't like all of it, but mostly it's wonderful. And so let's talk about, we won't talk about what's bad today. We'll talk about what's really good and what's really cool. So just to cover a couple of things today. First is just what exactly has changed, what's different from the old regime to the new. So we'll talk a little bit about the laws, and then to sort of contextualize and understand how they might apply. A couple different scenarios. So we'll look at just two scenarios. One would be the example of someone who's never been to Australia before. They're a New Zealand citizen. And they've just come over. How's it going to work for them? And then to contrast that, we'll compare it with a New Zealand citizen that has been already living here for a number of years, and kind of curious, are they going to tick the boxes of meeting the eligibility, like the residence requirement? How does that work? And might they be, how is it going to apply to them? So we'll cover those two things, and then probably the most important is that last point. It's just a few of the, I suppose, flags. If this is relevant to you, if this is part of your circumstances, you really should get professional advice before you take any steps. Now, sometimes it might just be you get professional advice because there's a cheaper, better way of doing it that you don't know about. That does happen. Or it might be that, oh, if you actually do it now, you could be making a big problem for yourself. So we'll cover that on the very last slide. So an incentive to listen all the way to the end. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to turn off my video here. You can know what I look like anyway. That's fine, just to free up some space on the slides. So we're talking about citizenship laws in very general terms here. Obviously, laws are really complex, and citizenship law is also really complex. There's exceptions and little ministerial discretions, and so there's a lot of complex aspects. We're just going to really talk about it generally and in simple terms, and that's really the interesting bit anyway. So I think most of you would already understand this. Just imagine a situation of maybe like a Canadian like me coming over and having a student visa and studying here on a student visa. Well, they're not going to be able to get apply for Australian citizenship because they haven't even become a permanent resident first. Right. So applicants for citizenship, they need to have a permanent visa, and they need to have it for at least 12 months. And after that, then they can, or meet an exception, and then they can sort of go ahead and lodge their application. That's assuming that they meet the other eligibility criteria, of which, of course, there's various eligibility criteria. And then present here, I guess you can kind of think of that like they're, living here, residing here. Legislation that uses the word present means really you're living here for at least 4 years, and after that you could lodge. So that's the way it was, and that's the way it still is. I mean, the change is basically the same as that, except now there is the meeting the exception part up here is different for some people. And something else pretty interesting. All right, so permanent resident, what does that mean? It's all of those ones that you would expect: a partner visa. You fell in love with an Australian, partner, that they sponsored you, a 189 visa in the New Zealand citizen stream. That was the perfect visa the government set up. Perfect, except it was really expensive and kind of stupid. Sorry, don't mean to. The reason I say that is a person could take the medical exam, had to pass the medicals for a 189, and then fail. And so that means the visa application would be refunded, no refund of the fees, and the only but they would still get Medicare until they're dead anyway. So why even have a medical for that? So pretty, yeah. Anyway, anyway, those people had permanent visas, right? And then there's some others that would also tick that box of having a permanent visa, holding a permanent visa, but they're not on that list. And they included some New Zealand citizens and these other ones here, and some, particular reasons or some requirements for them to kind of be able to tick this second box. So in the case of New Zealand citizens, they had to be protected New Zealand citizens. So everybody, 2001, February 2001, if you came after that, you're unprotected. So there's a lot of New Zealand citizens living here that are unprotected. And that means that your visa is not a permanent visa, you're not protected, so can't get citizenship. And so what's happened is this new instrument in writing that kind of provides for this, that's the normal one, and then the second pathway or second category, that whole definition of the second category is now just exploded. It's not limited to only these ones. It includes New Zealand citizens. It just includes, so if you've got a 444 visa, or you had one, or you're going to get one, it applies to you. So just for clarity here, if you got 444 visa, it's still considered a temporary visa, like for the purposes of Migration Act and the migration regulations, but it's a permanent if you're considering, taking some action under citizenship law, like, for example, an application for citizenship by conferral. Right. So moving along, let's apply this law change. If you were brand new, you could be like a young person over there in New Zealand, as an example, high school graduate thinking what to do next in their life. They could consider, before there was actually a disincentive. You come here and there was no direct pathway to citizenship, so you had to pay for a permanent visa, hold that visa, and then apply for citizenship after that. So this whole stage has been skipped. So it's a huge incentive, because if they come, they arrive, that's starting the clock starts ticking, and then apply for Australian citizenship down the line. So there's this is just a pretty random advantage. I mean, there's lots of advantages to citizenship, but there's also some responsibilities that applicants do need to be aware of. So this is just for the United States, only available to Australian citizens. That's just an example, right? Okay, now what about the case of someone who's been living here for quite a long time? So a couple interesting things about that is your eligibility, like whether you're able to apply straight away or not, from July 1st, away you go. It depends on arrival date and whether you took holidays and things like that, and whether you meet all of the other requirements. But one thing here that's really, really quite amazing is backdating. So let's say, I don't know, let's say you're a New Zealand citizen and you came on, I don't know, 1st of January 2022. Okay, 1st January 2022, you arrived, and you're still here. Okay, let's say that was your first arrival, then your visa will be considered to have be a permanent visa already from a year ago, and so that means you skip that waiting for 1 year. That would make you eligible to apply. Again, assuming that you meet those other requirements. So pretty amazing. Now, couple situations where you better just tread carefully and maybe know what you're doing before you do anything, is to find out about what's going on with any of these. So these would be reasons to give us a call, or probably easiest is actually just to send me an email. There's a number of ways to contact us. You're going to see that on the next slide. But any of these reasons, or actually any other concerns, if you've got any concerns, better to first be advised and then you can act. So we are expecting many, we're already getting many inquiries. So just be mindful of that, please. I mean, if you send me an email, then I know that you've contacted me. I might not be able to get back to you straight away, because so many others are also contacting me, and my colleagues. So please do be in contact, but just be mindful that it might take a little while before we'll be able to get back to you to answer what it is you need to know. That'll be the same for lodging applications. There'll be a very big boom at the beginning, and law firms across Australia can only move as quickly as they can move. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody, and bye for now.